Yeah, at least a year.
Jim, another fantastic performance, just on front.
Yep.
How are you feeling now? You've had a little bit of time to sort of reflect on your time out there.
Things just get more sore. It was a good fight. It's kind of the way I had it going in my head as I was training for this one. I had almost a full training camp for Gabriel about a year ago. And then, he unfortunately got hurt, had to pull out. I knew what the fight was going to be like. I knew what to expect. Super tough dude. Heavy leg kicks, good straight punches. But I knew I'd have an advantage on the mat. And, I've heard that he's the hardest leg kicker at AKA, and it's like, all right, hold my beer, we can see about that. So yeah, that's the way I expected it. Good tough fight, and kind of like I sat here, a few days ago and said, even though the opportunity to fight at 300 was on the shelf or there in front of me, I wasn't going to do anything that tonight that wasn't Jim Miller style. So I went out there. I fought like I always try to fight. Sometimes I fall a little short, but my goal in every fight that I've ever been in is to come out and to be as violent as I can and to get that finish. That's the only way I'm happy is if I put somebody away.
It's funny you mentioned that Jim Miller style. It's kind of crazy, right? I feel like in this sport we're so used to someone being good, and then suddenly they fall off and they're nowhere near the skill level. But you have maintained the same level and consistency throughout your whole career. First of all, what do you attribute that to? And secondly, do you just see I'm just going to keep going until that day comes, or I'm going to know before anyone else does, and I'm going to get out before that day comes?
I'm gonna know, really, and it's not the fights necessarily, right? It's more so the training camps. Training as a 40-year-old lightweight. I have to make concessions, on every day. It's about sacrificing certain things. My goals when I step onto the mat to train is to be healthy, and then to be in shape, and then to be good at what I'm good at, and then to be ready for what my opponent brings. So I'm not going to do anything like the silly stuff, like starting bad positions, all this stuff. Oh, this guy's good at arm bars, let's start in an arm bar. We're been there, done that. I've got those reps in. So, if I can't make it through the camps, then I know it's going to be it's time to hang them up. The other side of that, what I attribute this career to. There's too much. I could go on for an hour. I think, the lazy answer is luck and genetics. But there's been a lot. There's definitely a lot. I about a decade ago, right, decided to start my own gym and go to the small gym, right, and do it with a small team of guys that I can trust. That can give me the looks that I need and make sure that I'm healthy and improving, and not have to deal with some of the things that you have to deal with at big gyms. There's definitely a positive to it, but then one of the reasons that I left and started there was too many negatives. There's too many negatives. It's here's this, random Chechnyan or something like that, doesn't speak English. We can't tell him what to do, and he's stomping knees and stuff like that. So because it's hey, he's got potential, which is great, and you want the guy to come in and help you become a better fighter, but there are a lot of careers that have been cut short by injuries in rounds that they didn't need to do in the gym, and silly mistakes. And also going to that small gym where then I was kind of the guy in control of my own destiny. There's positives to that and there's negatives to that. I mean having somebody push you is great, but I've always been able to push myself. So I've got great guys. They'll do what I ask, and push the hell out of me. But it's as you get into your mid to late 30s as a fighter, it's the number of bad days that you have on the mats, it goes up quite a bit. When you're 26, it's like you have one bad day a year. When you're 36, it's like riding a roller coaster. So while there are a lot of great coaches, around the world, and they love their guys, they're not inside their body. They don't know what they feel like, and I feel like if the fighters had a little bit, I don't know, like we're more willing maybe to say like, hey, coach, today might not be the day. It's sparring day, but today might not be the day for me. And the problem is you feel like a bitch. Like it's hard. Like we get into a cage and beat the crap out of each other, and it's like it's hard to tell somebody that you care about and that cares about you and that wants you to be successful. We need to throttle back today. That's a really difficult thing to do. So like me not having to do that and me being able to gauge it myself, I think saved me a lot of injuries in the gym so that I can still be coming into the octagon healthy and fighting well.
I feel like every single time you've been in front of us for the last multiple years, right? UFC 300 has been the question, been the storyline. It's here.
Yeah.
Like, you have it now. It's right there. Is Paul Felder the guy that you think you should step in there and celebrate that occasion with?
I don't know. I like Paul and I almost fought, when was that? 2015. I think that fight would be brutal. Like I think that is a brutal fight. Me and him locked in a cage for 15 minutes. I also think that Matt Brown fight is amazing as well. I think it's awesome because one, I don't have to cut weight, and two, he's the guy with like the most finishes at welterweight. I'm the guy with most finishes at lightweight. Like that's a fight for 300, right? Like let's put on a show. Let's go out. Let's entertain. And I'm willing to move up in weight for that type of event. Like it's not like I'm trying to get my rankings up or anything like that. Particularly 300, I would hop in at any moment if Sean called me for those types of fights. Honestly, Sean, if you're watching, but yeah, like I want to put on an epic show with two badass dudes that have been around for a bit, and I think Matt might be that guy.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Would you notice now, like obviously you're not the same fighter you were back then, but would you notice now it's harder for you to get into fight condition at 40 than at 26? And obviously now, how do you feel now after the win? Besides, your emotions, but your body.
Fight condition it's changed, right? Like I was constantly training. Like it would be like I'd go through a fight like this and I'd be back in the gym in 5 days. So I'm going to need a little bit more time because the recovery doesn't happen like it used to. But I'd say like getting into fight conditioning it's just different. I've got great coaches in Martin Rooney and Nick Behringer who helped me with my diet and strength and conditioning. And I think we've got things dialed in pretty well. I might not always listen to my dietitian, I think we've got things worked out. I had a period in my career a few years ago where I felt like I wasn't getting into shape. I wasn't conditioned enough, and we kind of figured that out. And also like the whole sleep thing. Like if I could tell anybody, like sleep, get 8 hours of sleep, just please. It's a free performance enhancing thing. Like it's the best. And I used to be a 5-hour a night kind of guy and just caffeinate the heck out of myself. So, but yeah, like my body has changed, and yeah, I'm different. I'm different now than I was. I think I fight a lot smarter. I think I'm having more fun out there, which makes me more dangerous, honestly, because I used to have such bad tunnel vision that I would miss things. But yeah, like I'm not gonna sit here and try to be, the fighter I was when I was 26.
Also, what would you like to see for the rest of your career? Like, what would be the textbook for Mr. Miller?
I don't know. Get get a great fight on 300. Like I said, a couple days ago, I don't know if Bruce will introduce me as Jim fucking Miller. I don't know if he swears while he's working. He definitely swears when he's not. But yeah, right. So yeah, I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be cool to maybe open the pay-per-view with that. I think doing that in front of the T-Mobile full of fans would be awesome. I think that would get me super fired up. And then after that, let's put on some great fights. I'm not the type to name names. So there's lots of guys out there that I'd love to get the opportunity to share the octagon with.
Not names, but 50 fights and 30 wins. Would either one of those numbers interest you?
30 wins would be pretty awesome. That would be really awesome. I'm not really hanging myself on any of the numbers, to be perfectly honest. I think that who I am, and the legacy that I have isn't those numbers. It's how I've carried myself through the ups and downs that I've had to deal with. And when a guy like Mike Bisping, is complimenting me inside the octagon, that's it means the world to me. So I'm gonna continue to do what I'm doing, and I'll make the decisions on next steps. But yeah, let's just keep going for now.
You got another $50,000 performance of the night. Have anything on the top of your head? What you're doing with that?
Have you seen prices at the grocery store? I got 4 kids and they're getting older and they eat like friggin' horses. No, hopefully focus on assets at this point. Something that can pay me more, make me more money.
So not a new tractor?
No, not. I was telling my wife that I would like a bigger tractor, but in order to get a bigger tractor, I need more land. So I think I need to take that first step.
Makes sense. And then finally for me, Nicholas Mota fought on the prelims, and he said back here that he hoped to tell you that his situation was almost like he fought somebody coming off a UFC debut. He's the veteran, and he went out and knocked him out, just like what you did to him. So I guess is that kind of cool, just like a full circle moment?
Kind of, yeah. It's he's a good dude. He's a great fighter. I love watching him fight. Yeah. So it's I don't want to ruin it by saying, but the respect that I get from my peers, it means everything to me, so that's I think that's what we should all be striving for, is the people that have been in the trenches with you to understand what you've done. And if I can have a positive effect on some of these newer guys' careers and the way they go about it and the way they carry themselves, then that makes me happy.
Going back to the right here, how you want Bruce to introduce you. Were you surprised at how the fans kind of really got behind that immediately and were really supportive, or have you noticed the fans have always kind of been supportive of that sort of stuff with you?
They've always been kind of supportive of that stuff, so I didn't expect it to explode like it did. But it's I earned that nickname, right? I earned that nickname by the way that I do business inside the octagon and even outside, right? And I earned that nickname from a guy that was at, matchmaking at UFC 2. So, when Joe Silva calls you that, it's pretty cool. So, I'm glad that the fans are behind it, and it's not the easiest nickname to to promote, but it's there.
Would you settle for a effing?
I would. Well, not in the octagon. No, come on. He's got to say it. He's got to say it. if we're doing T-shirts, I can do effing.
Over here. Paul was just in here, and I asked him about his original approach for you back in 2015 where you're supposed to fight.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess now that you're in here, what was you and your team's original approach to fighting Paul?
I can't remember. yeah, that was 2015. That was like the dark ages for me, unfortunately. So there was a period that I don't have a lot of memories about, and that was one of them. I remember preparing for him to be a good striker and throw a lot of kicks and spinning stuff. And, he fought some of my training partners on the local circuit and stuff like that. So we had a little, a little scouting on him. But, that was like, there was time in between that. And obviously, we're looking at 9 years. So it's a totally different fight nowadays.
Fair enough. And I know UFC 300 is kind of like a bucket list thing for you in the fight game. So once you get that done, is there another bucket list item, maybe like fighting a specific place or specific opponent before it's all settled?
I want to fight. I want to fight back home once more. I would like to fight at the Prudential Center. I think that would be bring things kind of full circle. MSG might suffice, but I'm from New Jersey, so I'm not from New York. And if we're going to be honest, the New York Commission is a pain in the ass to work with. So, I'd like to fight closer to home so that, more of my training partners and family and friends can come, share one of or the last, fight that I have.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know when you first sat down, you said you weren't done yet, but you said maybe another year. I don't know if that meant 2024 in general, by the end of the year, maybe this could be that year that, if you kind of hit those goalposts, has your mind started settling on the fact that this could be the end year? And if not, I know you talked about UFC 300 so many years ago, and it was right around the corner. Just want to throw out that if 2005 you could make 20 years if you make it to 2025.
65? Maybe. Yeah.
Gotta love that. So, you did say sort of maybe a year. So I don't know if in your brain you've already started wrapping around possibly the end of this year. But next year, if you make it to 2025, that's 20 years. That'd be pretty cool as well.
Yeah. I've been playing it kind of fight by fight at this point. It's I've said it plenty of times before that I look at every opportunity that I get to fight after, like 200, right? UFC 200, UFC 196, just around then, as a gift, man. Like I'm super appreciative to be able to do this and to continue to be able to do this. And I know that it's not typical. It's definitely atypical to be able to go through the camps, to go through the fights, and to be able to continue in a difficult athletic endeavor. As a 40-year-old, especially as a lightweight. So I'm just happy to be here. I was, I'm in the back and I'm like ear to ear, cheesing it up. Who knows? Who knows what's going to, when the last one's going to be at this point? There's definitely the talks have been going on with me and my wife we're preparing for it. We're preparing for the day that I'm not fighting anymore. The toughest part is that when I do get a fight nowadays, it's like I got to be all in. So and still all in with the kids and stuff like that and the family. So this was a difficult camp for me. Helping the boys out with wrestling, coaching wrestling, and my oldest is in basketball and. My other daughter's in dance, so my wife's always there with dance with her. So we're like two ships in the night. Once 5 o'clock hits, so packed all my training into Monday through Friday, and during the day when the kids were at school, and it was there was nothing else getting done. So that's the tough part is that transition to life after fighting. I have to be able to be working on that. And now that I've got a couple weeks before I have to ramp it back up, I'll be focusing on that type of stuff and trying to ease the transition, into the next stage of my professional career.
Which has got to be still kind of crazy because you're having these moments of brilliance in a lot of your recent fights, and it's got to be. Here we are saying, well, you're obviously done soon, and you're pulling out magnificent things that we've seen. That, I mean, it's got to be a weird thought in your head, like, is it really time?
Well, when you get up and you're like on fight day, and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm so sore, like I didn't do anything yesterday. I cut a little weight, but my low back was all tight. So I can turn it on for 15 minutes. I could turn it on for 25, given the opportunity. But yeah, it's harder. It's definitely harder, and I feel it. And it's all the things that you guys don't see, and like the performances inside the octagon. That's me at my in my world, in my realm, and what I was made to do, right? So it's all the little things outside of that where that make it a lot more difficult, being a 40-year-old.
Yeah, we just got to keep you away from picking up things in the kitchen.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like just wheel me around and just push me onto the mat twice a day, maybe onto the bike once, and that, and then back to bed.
Awesome. Well, congrats on the victory. It was
Thank you.
one heck of a performance.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.